If people have been taught to hate, they can be taught to love.
And Opal Lee ought to know. At the age of 96, she's lived through nearly 40% of our nation's history and walked her way into it. She's known as the grandmother of Juneteenth.
I'm humble, but I want people to know that Juneteenth means freedom.
Well, President Lincoln ordered America's slaves to be freed in 1863 during the Civil War, but our military could not enforce it until it reached the areas where the Confederate rebels kept their slaves. And while the rebels surrendered in April of 1865, it took federal troops several weeks after that to ride south and west to set people free.
The message had not reached those people in Galveston, Texas. Even Tampa and even all of Florida, it took until May 20th.
That's why we celebrate Florida's Emancipation Day on May 20th. But it took longer for U.S. troops to reach Texas, which still had an estimated 250,000 slaves. General Gordon Granger reached Galveston, Texas, and issued the General Order to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation on June 19, 1865. It took another 6 months to write it into the U.S. Constitution and free the slaves in the border states. But June 19th, or Juneteenth Independence Day, was the turning point in our nation's path to freedom. The early celebrations started in the Galveston-Houston area. Freed slaves moved into Houston's Freedmen Town. They laid these bricks that still line the streets themselves. And they created a 10-acre park known as Emancipation Park, where they celebrated their freedom every year on June 19th. And the celebrations in Texas expanded to Fort Worth. And that's where young Opal Lee entered the picture.
When it was time to go home, they just pulled the plug, turned the lights out, and we knew to go home. Except this time, we were having so much fun that I got on a flatbed truck and I put that plug back in and we partied till dawn.
It cleared her mind of what happened on that same day when she was 12.
500 people gathered. Would you believe on the 19th of June?
A racist mob set her family's house on fire.
Those people pulled the furniture out and burned it. They did despicable things.
She felt the pain of hate and made it her life mission to overcome it by sharing the joy she felt in those Juneteenth parties.
People walked with me and cars followed. I thought we'd have 10, 15 cars. We had 300 cars.
Year by year and city by city, the celebrations expanded. Texas formally recognized Juneteenth as a state holiday in 1980. And Florida was the second state to recognize it in 1991. And Opal Lee kept marching and pushing for more. Year after year, she led the campaign to make Juneteenth a national holiday. And in 2021, Congress delivered. President Biden invited Opal to the White House as he signed the new federal holiday into law.
I want people to know that Juneteenth means freedom. And that's not just for black people or Texas people, it's for everybody.
In Tampa, the celebrations have taken off with a festival at Raymond James Stadium and much more across the Bay.
It's a day of family. We want to celebrate what Tampa Bay is. We want to celebrate our community, and we want to celebrate this wonderful holiday.
A holiday that celebrates America's path to freedom and reminds all of us to appreciate and preserve it.
Juneteenth should symbolize for everybody alive in these United States that freedom, I mean freedom, real freedom, is everybody's responsibility.
Craig Patrick, Fox 13 News.